Hi, this is Jaya. Now we shall see the summary of Rabindranath Tagore's Kabuliwala. Rabindranath Tagore's famous story is this Kabuliwala. Here he has written this fully in the first person narrative, that is, he is talking to us, and it's a very beautiful story. Here he begins by talking about his 5-year-old daughter Minnie, who is always chatting and a very cheerful girl. And one day she comes into his room, and when she is talking with him, she suddenly runs to the window and she sees a very tall Afghan man wearing a turban and selling nuts and raisins passing by. And as a child, as a 5-year-old child, she just calls out from the window, Kabuliwala, oh Kabuliwala. And seeing the man turning and looking, she gets scared and she just runs off inside because she was given the impression that these people will kidnap children and put in that bag which is behind them, that is, which they are carrying in the shoulders. This is the story which is told to her to keep her safer. And Tagore, on seeing all this, he goes near the window and peeps out, and he finds a man standing outside and looking at the house. Tagore feels very bad for calling a man and not purchasing anything. So he comes out and he purchases a few of nuts and raisins, and he keeps talking about him and inquiring about his native place and other things. And then afterwards what happens is this Kabuliwala asks Tagore, where is the small daughter who called up to me? Can I see her? And Tagore feels that it is also good for Minnie to come out and see him, because he is also there, so that she'll come out of that fear that strangers will kidnap children. So he calls her, and when she comes, this Kabuliwala, from his bag, he takes out a handful of nuts and raisins and offers to her. But Minnie gets scared and she hides behind Tagore and refuses to take it. And then Tagore leaves it. This is the first visit between the Kabuliwala and Minnie. But after few days, suddenly Tagore finds out, when he is about to go out, the Minnie sitting on a bench in the outside the house, and this Kabuliwala sitting down, and both of them are engaged in a deep conversation. And Minnie keeps on chatting, and Kabuliwala listens to her very intently, and she is so happy. Both of them are very happy, smiling away, and he keeps responding to her speech in his broken Bengali. And Tagore finds that her hands are full of nuts and raisins, and he understands that this Kabuliwala has given this to her. Then he goes there and he tells him not to do such things, that is, not to give all these nuts and raisins to her. And he gives him a half-rupee coin for it, which the Kabuliwala takes. Then Tagore goes, and when he comes back, he finds his wife shouting at Minnie, asking her how she got this money, and she is holding the half-rupee coin, which is the money which Tagore gave it to the Kabuliwala. And Minnie replies to her mother saying that the Kabuliwala only gave it to her, and Minnie is fully crying, and her mother is so very angry, and she says, how can you take it? Why should he give it to you? And all those questions. And so Tagore comes and he saves Minnie, and then he understands that Minnie and this Kabuliwala have been talking for so many days. He comes to know that this Kabuliwala's name is Rahmat, and they become very close, and it is the habit of this Kabuliwala to come and meet her every day, and Minnie is also very happy. And Tagore thinks, okay, there is nothing to get scared of, but his wife is very scared because she has heard a lot about child kidnapping, and she also knows that in Afghan slave trade goes on. And so she keeps on shouting at Minnie, and also questions Tagore about the safety of the child. But Tagore does not get into it much, and the meeting between Minnie and the Kabuliwala continues till one day what happens is like it is time for this Rahmat to go back to Afghan. Like every year he will go in at one particular time. He will go to his native place, and then he will come back. They'll go to the native place to meet the family, and also to give back the money, and to also get new goods and come. And this Rahmat is a peddler, like he'll sell different things at one time. So when he's going, actually he'll be collecting the debt, like if he has given to certain people, the remaining money they'll be collecting. And one day what happens is Tagore hears a lot of commotion outside the house, and when he comes out he finds Rahmat being taken away by the policeman, and there's so much of bloodshed, and also there is a knife which is with blood. And when he inquires, he comes to find out that one of his neighbors had brought a he understands that one of his neighbors had brought a Rampuri shawl from him, and when he went and asked him the money, he refused to give the money. And he also went to the extent of saying that he did not even buy a shawl from him, and out of anger Rahmat had stabbed him with a knife and he had died, and therefore the people had caught him and the police had come and he is arrested. And when they are talking, actually Minnie comes out as usual, and whenever she sees him, she calls him Kabuliwala, oh Kabuliwala, same way she comes. And this Kabuliwala immediately smiles to her, and then she asks him, where are you going? And he says, I am going to the in-laws, and they have the usual chatter. He just smiles at her. He has a very sweet smile which Tagore says he can never forget. And then since it's a murder case, he is being punished for 8 years in jail. And in this 8 years, of course, Minnie grows up, and Tagore is so surprised that Minnie totally forgets him in a few days, and she gets another friend with whom she is happily chatting away, and now she is a grown-up girl. And Tagore notices that slowly she cuts down all her friends who are boys, and her circle of friends becomes only with girls. And even the earlier childhood habit of hers, where she comes and keeps on surrounding Tagore, also reduces a lot, and she confines herself only with the women in the house. And he understands that is one way of the women growing up, and he accepts it. And now Minnie has become a grown up girl, and marriage arrangements are there, and the next day she is going to marry. And Tagore is busily taking care of all the marriage arrangements, and inside he knows that he is going to be separated from his girl, though it is something which he has anticipated for a long time, and he knows this is going to happen, but it pains him. And as he is looking after the arrangements, he finds one person coming in front of him whom he is not able to identify, but from the smile he understands it's this the same Rahmat who was the Kabuliwala whom he had met 8 years ago, and he welcomes him with that name itself. And only when he mentions that he was in the jail for 8 years, Tagore somehow feels that on such a auspicious moment, having this person in the house, Tagore feels a bit delicate, and so he says, we have a function in the house. And Kabuliwala says, okay sir, I'll go, but can I see your daughter? I want to give her this. But Tagore feels it's not nice for her to come out, because generally it is not allowed. So he tells her that, and then he understands, and he leaves a packet of raisins and nuts on the table. And then this Kabuliwala takes out a paper, and in that paper, it's a paper which was folded. He opens the paper and he shows her. There's a small hand, the print of a hand, which was made with a charcoal. That is, they would have smudged the charcoal in the child's hand, and that print was there. And he says, this is my daughter's hand print. I also have a daughter in my hometown whom I am not seen for all these years. I don't know what they are doing now, because for this past 8 years I am not in contact with them, and she will also be like Minnie. Now Tagore understands that this Rahmat had been seeing his own daughter in the shape of Minnie, and the conversations he had with Minnie was the conversations which he longed to have with his own daughter, whom he was missing in his hometown. And immediately Tagore feels that it is not right for him to just follow the customs and avoid him from seeing his daughter, so he calls for his daughter. Though the household members say it is not good to call a bride who is fully dressed, he says, no, I want her now immediately, and she comes fully dressed up. She does not identify the Kabuliwala, and on looking at Minnie, Kabuliwala immediately his mind, Tagore feels that in his mind he should have been reminded that his daughter also would have grown up like this, and he blesses her and he gives her the raisins, and Minnie has only feels shy and she runs away. She doesn't even identify him. And then afterwards Tagore understands that he does not have the money even to go back to his hometown. So he cuts down short certain expenditures which he was about to spend for the wedding. In spite of the like others' objection, he gives money to this Kabuliwala and tells him to go back to his native place. The story ends here. It's a very beautiful story written in a beautiful way. Of course, if Rabindranath Tagore is going to write, we need not say about it. And there are two things which we really feel. If only he had not given up to his anger and murdered the person, Kabuliwala would have been very happy. He would have gone to his native place, of course, without that particular money which he actually needed. And he also talks about the life, like how people look at strangers and foreigners here, and how girl children, when they grow up, what are the changes they undergo, like how they change, how they adapt themselves, is beautifully written here. And how we also come across many people, but when we are not able to meet them for some time, how they just fade away and we get adapted to the new situations come. It is so very natural, so very real, that this story really appeals to us a lot. That's the story. If you have anything to add on to it, please write it in the comment box. It will be very helpful for others. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe. Thank you.